Welcome to Pop Up with Tulip, the podcast where we explore stories of humanity, resilience, and empathy. Today we are diving into one of Ireland's pressing issues, the housing crisis, which has especially impacted refugees and asylum seekers. The shortage of affordable housing is challenging for everyone, but for people fleeing conflict, persecution, and unimaginable hardship, finding a place to rebuild their lives has become an uphill battle. In this climate, some private landlords are stepping up to help by opening their homes to those in need. Today we're speaking with one of them, a private landlord who prefers not to have his name mentioned, who has gone out of his way to offer a safe and welcoming space for refugees, including, well, me, his tenant. Firstly, thank you so much for being here and for sharing this experience with us. It's inspiring to see landlords helping those who need it most during this crisis. So, what inspired to start renting your property to refugees?
I feel that I'm a refugee myself. I was a refugee from Donegal. My family moved to Glasgow and we never really felt at home there. Uh, I always felt I was a refugee. And then recently I was in Mount Street uh, where there was a lot of tents. I saw families, young people, all living in tents and I thought that's not right. It can't be right. So I contacted a few government agencies and eventually I contacted the Irish Red Cross, and then Anna contacted me because initially when I contacted the Red Cross, I said to them that I didn't really want Ukrainians. Nothing against Ukraine, but I felt they were doing okay. They were being well treated, and the other refugees from other countries didn't seem to be getting as good a deal. So Anna was delighted that I was prepared to accept other refugees, especially from direct provision. So that's why I done it.
That's incredible. Have you ever rented to refugees before?
No. Before I rented to you, my son had been living here. He had separated from his wife and he was in the process of building his own house, which took a number of years. So uh, then when he moved out with his children, then I decided, well, the house is too big just to be living here on my own. Why not share it?
When you decided to rent your house, did you have any concern?
No, I don't consider that.
I mean, some landlords are quite hesitant about renting to refugees because of fears around property damage or cultural misunderstandings.
Yeah, you have to have faith. And okay, I'm a Christian. I try to live like a Christian. Don't always succeed, but so a Christian would say, Christianity tells you to share. So that's what I do. So no fears. No.
How about the monthly payment for the rent? Do you have any concern about your tenant's financial stability?
No, not really. Well, okay. Initially, when I contacted the Red Cross, it was with the idea of renting or not renting, just providing accommodation. But it was the Red Cross that suggested, oh yeah, you'll get so much rent, blah, blah, blah. So uh, the financial aspect wasn't a big concern. No,
How's your relationship with your tenants? Are there any issue arising?
I don't have any issues. They do their thing, I do my thing. And, I, I, I presume the tenants are happy enough. I'm happy.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that it's been a positive experience. What's been the most rewarding part of sharing your home with refugees?
And well, I mean, I've learned a lot of your culture, and what's going on in your country. Certainly how to cook.
How do you think renting to refugee impacts the local community? Any positive or negative attribution?
Well, in this case, I would say more positively. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, I think the more multicultural the country is, the better. I have a mantra. I've had it for years. People would be giving out about the immigrants coming here, taking our jobs. I'd say, well, look, there's jobs here. Once they start leaving, that's when we should be getting concerned because there'll be no jobs for anyone. So, no, I think it's all very positive. I'd be delighted to see meet people, say in shops or restaurants, uh, foreigners, for lack of a better word. But because I always engage them in conversation, I don't know, do they always appreciate it? They probably think I'm saying. I always ask people where they're from. Just out of curiosity. I like to hear their stories. But maybe some people think I'm saying, well, where are you from? You shouldn't be here. But that's not my attitude anyway. So anyway, so I think very positive. I think a very positive. Yeah, there probably is some negatives, but you know, as I say, when the country is flourishing, that's why people want to come here. You know, when it's not doing too well, they'll leave. So,
What kind of things would the local community expect from the immigrants?
um, uh, I suppose their culture, and from my experience, I always found that immigrants are much more hardworking people. Okay, I suppose they have to be, because they have to go on in a foreign country. But um, yeah, well, I mean, for example, I mean, this may be an extreme example. The little girl from Intala, Ndeki is her name, yeah, yeah. I mean, she's a fantastic runner. I mean, that's brilliant. She's brought that, and there's so many people playing Gaelic football now who are coloured or immigrants. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I just think it brings something fresh and new to the country, and yeah, so all positive.
How have your neighbors responded to renting to refugees?
Having said that, they're all very nice people, and I did mention it to one or two neighbours, and they were delighted. Uh, they like to see my Palestinian flag flying. So no, they don't have an issue. This next door neighbour here, next to us, she used to take in French students and Spanish students. That was in the summertime, No, nobody. No.
By the way, what motivated you to support Palestinians?
Because I see them very much like the Irish, like the way we were occupied for almost 600 years, and we're still occupied in the north of Ireland, but slowly but surely that's changing. Uh, so I see them as fighting for their freedom, and I just hang a flag out to support them. I, I give a little contribution every month, but it's very little. But like they're being so badly treated, and the world is paying lip service to it. Yeah, and even our own government. Okay, they recognise the state of Palestine, they do this, do that. But once America says, "Don't do this," our government don't do it. So uh, even the EU is dictating to Ireland because we passed a law here that says we should not import any produce from the occupied territories, and it's called the Occupied Territories Bill, but it's never been enacted, even though it has been passed in both houses. It's never been enacted because we can't do it. The EU is telling us not to do it. So anyway, I could go on, but so that's the reason. Yeah, yeah. I equate the Palestinian struggle to the Irish struggle. Yeah.
Now, many organizations are trying to integrate refugees and asylum to the Irish community, and in some places, there are some people who don't like refugee and asylum to integrate in their area. Do you have any opinions about them?
Uh, Specifically, would you be referring to what's going on in Coolock? Yeah, well, because as I said, I experienced what it was like to be a Catholic in Glasgow, and it's not easy at times, you know. So, no, you know, a lot of these people, they probably never had to immigrate themselves, but their parents or probably their uncles. I mean, Irish people are all over the world, and so therefore, I think it's time now for us to open our door and accept people into our country, as they have accepted us for hundreds of years. So, uh, do I have an opinion? Is that your question? Do I have an opinion on them? Yeah, well, they're not nice people. I'll just put it to you that way. They're very close-minded, and a lot of them, I think, are getting their news on social media.
What do you think we should do to make our community better and a place to live in harmony?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I think better people than me have tried that. So, and well, okay, for me, I think okay, this generation. I mean, the uh, the Irish people in Coolock, let us say, they feel that it's all young people coming in, Muslims, and the no respect for the community or the women in the community, etc. Well, I would say that they shouldn't be put into. I know there's a lot of this is temporary accommodation, like in Coolock, uh, but they should be put in smaller units around the areas and let them acclimatise. I don't know that's not the right word, so that they will. If not this generation, the next generation will grow up as Irish, you know, and so therefore there won't be as much friction between the Irish and the people coming in, you know, the immigrants coming in. But I suppose initially, uh, look, a lot of these people are just agitators. They're right-wing people, and they're only looking for some reason to attack the government and any excuse. And I think they found a good one.
You're setting such a strong example. Do you recommend other private landlords to open doors for refugees and asylum seekers?
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly a few of my friends. Now, there are two people I know. One has he had a house and he gave it to a family of Ukrainians up in Laytown. Another friend has Brazilians staying with her. A few of my friends would say to me, "Oh, how are you getting on with your residents, your tenants?" I say, "Oh, grand, you know. Oh, you know, be a wee bit careful." And I said, "Like, you know, uh, no, no, yeah, I would have. Let's see, I would recommend it to anyone. Yeah, yeah. Okay. I mean, different tenants and different people. You know, different landlords. But anyway, I would recommend it. Yeah, yeah. My experience has been all good.
The numbers of refugees and asylum seekers are increasing day by day because of conflicts all around the world. So, what do you believe is the most important approach to ending these kinds of conflict?
Yeah, yeah. Well, as they say, all wars must end, you know. And I mean, in Burma, the, it's a civil war. You know, and I know very little about it, but a civil war, I think, is so tough, brother against brother, more or less, you know. Uh, and I think the United Nations, they don't do enough. You know, I'm just saying, like in Burma, the United Nations or countries could strangle the government, you know, until they would give up. You know, not you know with the sanctions, etc., make life very, very tough, and say, well, the government will say, look, we have to come to some agreement, you know, because okay, the Americans have a lot of bad influences on the world, but they did help in Northern Ireland. You know, they came together and said, look, you have to sort this out, and eventually they did sort it out. And it's the same goes in Israel. I mean, if America stopped supplying them with arms, they would come to the negotiation table, you know. But unfortunately, America's pumping 1,000 and 2,000 pound bombs into them, and they just land them in the middle of Gaza. So anyway, I think the United Nations certainly could have much more teeth
I'd like to turn a bit now to your personal definition of peace. With Ireland's own history of conflict, particularly around the Troubles, what does peace mean to you personally?
In this country here, or peace in general. Or peace in general? Oh yeah, okay. Well, to be to be able to do what you want within the law, uh, to be able to work, to raise a family, not live in fear. Yeah, yeah. I think not live in fear it would be the biggest thing. To I mean, because there are people now, even in the south of Ireland, will not go to the north of Ireland because of the fear. You know, uh, well, even during the height of the troubles, we used to travel through it all the time. Because I said this is my country, nothing's going to stop me going through it. But yeah, I think to, to not live in fear is the biggest thing. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time and your insights. You're showing us all that the best way to build a strong community is to start with open doors and open hearts. I believe there are so many people out there who will be inspired by what you're doing. That's all for now. Please keep in mind that each of us has the power to make a difference, no matter how small. Until next time, take care and bye.